Alright, what's going on, everybody? Back again today doing my third, fourth, I can't remember, video where I am reviewing some nerdy, collectible, toy, statue, merchandise type stuff. This one is going to be over the DC Multiverse Toy-Line by McFarlane Toys. So if anyone's a big DC fan, you're looking for some collectibles to find, this is my number one recommendation because this line just started back in January of this year. Prior to McFarlane Toys making DC collectible toys, it was Mattel. Mattel had the license, and Mattel sort of lost the license. It kind of split into two. The rights to make DC character toys, geared more towards children, went to Spin Master, and the rights to make DC collectible toys for more like adult collectors, that went to McFarlane Toys. Since then, they've been doing a pretty okay job. I do have some complaints, but we'll get to that in the video. So the first thing I want to do is address the fact that I do own uh, a number of these figures. Not that many, just 5 in total, and I just thought that it would be better, you'd get a better like review if I did a more computer-based video showing images of the figures rather than just the 5 that I have, because I'm going to go into more detail about what else is out right now that I don't currently own, as well as what's to come in the line. So let's get started. So the figures that I own are Arkham Batman, and as you can see, it's a pretty normal looking Batman. You can definitely tell he's from the game. The armor, his suit has the grooves and the seams in it, but it's, pretty generic black cape and cowl, black bat symbol, black trunks. The boots and gauntlets are a bit more armored, and if you want it as an Arkham Batman, if that's what you want to buy this one for, you can by all means do that. And he is a very good looking rendition of Batman from that game. I bought this figure simply because the normal comic book Batman that they released for this line did not turn out well at all, and I decided that I would buy this one, and I kind of painted the gauntlets and the boots just much more like flat black. As you can kind of see here, they do look a little tarnished to kind of give them a more metallic look, much more armored look, and I really didn't want that. I wanted to use this guy as a comic book Batman. So in the future, I'm going to be doing a head swap on him to give him a more comic book head, and then I also painted the gauntlets and the boots just a flat black. But if you do want this as an Arkham Batman, he works extremely well for that. He looks fantastic. What was new for McFarlane Toys, for anyone who doesn't know, in the past, McFarlane has always made slightly articulated statues. They never really made a lot of like posable figures with a lot of articulation and joints. But they recently got into that, and so far they've been doing a really good job. The figures are very articulated, very posable, and as you can see, they do come with a number of accessories. Batman comes with a fully expanded Batarang, a collapsed Batarang, this grappling hook, a smoke grenade or stun grenade of some kind, and then all the figures do come with some sort of base stand for them to stand on. Most of them, from my experience that I own, they stand up perfectly fine without the stand. And then they also each come with a little trading card with some like bio information on the back. And there are some, I'm not going to call it a build-a-figure, but we'll get into that later. Some of them do come with an extra piece to where if you buy all the figures with the pieces, you can put it together to make something. But we'll get into that as we go. So the next figure that I own is Superman. In my honest opinion, between which is the best figure they've made so far, it's a tie between that Arkham Batman or this Superman, because this Superman turned out phenomenal. They did give him slightly less articulation in the arms, specifically the elbows. Like most of the other figures have double jointed elbows, Superman only has a single jointed elbow, but everything else, it looks fantastic. From the head sculpt, the colors they used on the suit look great, and it's a traditional Superman. Like if you're only going to buy one Superman figure for your collection, I don't see why it wouldn't be this one. He also, rather than a normal black base stand, he comes with a clear flight stand. So you could just stand him on it if you just want to have him standing up, or you could use it to pose him like levitating, hovering in the air. He also comes with a pair of interchangeable hands, one open hand and one grip hand, and then down here he's got, I think, a pair of fists. It might have been another additional grip hand, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure he comes with two semi-open hands, one completely open hand, and then another like gripping semi-open and a fist. So you do get some options for display there. I definitely recommend the flight stand. He looks very cool posed on the flight stand. So I also own Nightwing. Not a bad Nightwing, very typical, the standard Nightwing outfit, black, the blue, comes with his two batons, and this is the first in the collect to build the Batmobile. So him, Nightwing, the Batman Who Laughs, and Batgirl all come with a third of this miniature Batmobile. It's not a life-size, or it's not life-size. It's not a Batmobile that is to scale with these figures. It's just their idea is they're going to slowly release more and more renditions of the Batmobile, and so next thing you know, you could put together a little collection of mini Batmobiles from over the years. This one is the typical one where it's got like almost like the bat face or head on the front of it. I do not own all the figures necessary to complete the Batmobile, but it's a nice touch. I don't know if they're going to do more like this in the future, especially since it does not require you to buy every figure in the wave. Like I said, they divided the pieces of the Batmobile up between 3 different figures, and there were at least 12 figures in the wave. So, it's kind of just if you want it, it's there. If not, oh well. And then as always, he comes with his trading card. It's a good Nightwing. I'm not gonna lie. But it's pretty standard. It's kind of hard to mess up Nightwing. He's got a pretty, I don't want to say basic, but it's a pretty simple look, and it's not hard to get right. So the other figure I own in this line is Batgirl. As you can see, she comes with another piece of the Batmobile, Golden Batarang, a little grappling gun that honestly just looks like a normal pistol, but it's got some tangled up rubber cord and then a hook coming out of it. You could use it if you want to pose her as she's firing it, but the cord and the hook are not removable for the gun, and she has nowhere to holster the gun on her, so I usually don't display her with that. My only complaints with this figure are, one is a personal complaint. It's not my favorite version of the Batgirl costume. I'm very, very partial to the DC animated universe, so all of those costumes are my favorite. But this one's not terrible. I do think it's a little bright. For a vigilante crime fighter who's supposed to be prowling around in the night, this is very bright. Light gray, bright yellow, blue. It's not very stealthy, not very dark and brooding. Like it doesn't really fit with the whole Batman, Bat family element, but it is what it is. Now, the other complaint that I have with this figure is that she is just as tall as Nightwing, which is not correct at all. She should be a bit shorter. They did make her a little out of scale. She's a little too tall, but honestly, it's fudgeable. You can look past it, and it doesn't really ruin the figure. But other than those two complaints, another good addition to this line right here. And then the final figure that I own in this line so far is the Arkham Joker. There is going to be a comic book version of the Joker coming out soon, but I thought, since I already have the Arkham Batman, I'm just going to go ahead and get Arkham Joker. He looks comic booky enough, and I liked the accessories he came with, the funny clamping jaws, and then he comes with a pistol. And yeah, just really iconic looking Joker. Got the steep widow's peak and the crazy grin. Comes with his trading card. Another nice addition to this line. Other figures that are in this line that are out now that you can find. So one of my biggest complaints with this toy line so far is that it is very Batman heavy. Now, from this picture here, which shows some of the other figures in this line that are out so far, you wouldn't think so. Well, that's because this first wave that they released, the very first one in January, McFarlane's intention was to show that they had license to do collectible figures from every aspect of the DC world. You've got your basic comic book figures such as Batgirl, and this is the comic book version of Batman, Superman that we've already taken a look at. You got some armored versions of Superman and Batman that they've appeared in other comic book storylines. But then he also shows that he is authorized to make figures from the animated series. in the DC animated universe: Superman, Justice League, Green Lantern, animated series Batman, Harley Quinn, and then we also have an Arrow figure from the CW show. So he has license to produce everything: movies, cartoons, comic books, video games, absolutely everything. And he did a really good job of showing that off in the first wave. However, since then, he has very, very much so planted himself firmly in Batman territory. There are so many Batman related and Batman themed figures coming out in this toy line that it almost seems like a Batman toy line with some supporting characters added, which is, from my perspective, not what the fans were really wanting. What the fans were really wanting, in my opinion, was the DC equivalent of Marvel Legends. We wanted to see a toy line go deep into the roster of DC. Where's our Blue Beetle, Booster Gold? Where's our Commandy? Where's our Dr. Fate? We wanted to see a lot of different characters, not just the main popular characters, plus a bunch of different versions of Batman. And to add to that, one of the themes that he went with for the second wave was from the Batman White Knight graphic novel. We got a White Knight Joker and a White Knight Batman. The White Knight Joker does come with an alternate head that shows him in his Jack Napier form. The Batman is pretty much as you see here, comes with his little gun accessory, and I believe he does come with a couple other accessories that are not pictured here. I just don't know because I had no desire to pick these up. I don't really care about this storyline. I've never read the graphic novel. I'm slightly tempted to, but until I actually read the graphic novel and determine whether or not I really like it, I just don't really see the point in buying these. And I don't really quite understand why McFarlane chose to make these. I'm a pretty big DC fan. I pay attention to a lot of all the stuff coming out about DC, whether it's comics, movies, animation, video games, doesn't matter. And I was hearing nothing about White Knight until these figures for this toy line were announced. I don't really think anyone was asking for these. They turned out really nice and they look good, but I just don't think it's what people were asking for. Like I said, I think people were just really wanting to get our Marvel Legends equivalent toy line for DC. But instead of doing that, he just dove right back into more Batman. So, figures that are going to be coming soon. We've got, this is the comic book Joker that I mentioned before. And I gotta say, I really do prefer the Arkham Joker. I don't like what they did with the red around his eyes. I don't like when they give him this shorter coat jester costume. I don't know what it is. I just don't really like this. It seems a little too in your face. It's trying a little too hard. On a positive note, though, we are going to get some more comic book figures designs. We're getting a modern Barry Allen Flash. We're going to be getting a slightly variant Azrael Batman. I don't remember him ever wearing a black and gold costume in the comic books, but I suppose he did at some point. Maybe it's from a video game. I'm not entirely sure. And then to further your animated universe collection, we're going to be getting Cyborg, which looks like he's from the Teen Titans animated series. Even though that series is not considered part of the DC animated universe, it's still nice that we're going to be getting those figures in this line. Hopefully we get the full roster of the Teen Titans team. And then this is another picture of the Flash. As you can kind of see, he's going to have a couple alternate heads, at least two. And then this is what I'm talking about with the Batman stuff. So while I am glad that we're going to be getting a Red Hood because he is part of the Bat family and he's another DC character that I will add to my collection, I have no interest in buying this red variant Nightwing. I've already got my Nightwing. It's the traditional Nightwing. It's the definitive Nightwing, the blue and black. That's all there is to it. This is the, I want to say, Red Death. This is a character from a current DC Comics storyline that's going on right now, which is Dark Knight's death metal, which stems from Dark Knight's metal back in 2017. I believe that's correct. And it's basically a bunch of versions of evil Batman from alternate realities. And this is a version of Batman who went evil, killed the Flash, stole his speed powers. Another evil version of Batman from the Dark Knight's metal, Dark Knight's death metal. This is the Grim Knight. This is a version of Batman who's pretty much just Batman, except he never made the vow to not kill people. He's like if the Batman had more of a same philosophy as the Punisher from Marvel Comics. He comes with a grenade launcher, a submachine gun, and he has a ton of guns and knives that are sculpted into his armor and gear, but they are not removable. And then these two big bunches of guns, they are one piece. They are not individual guns that you can like put into his hands. These are just big chunky pieces of sculpted guns, and they attach to his back to make it look like he's carrying a bunch of guns. This is the Batman figure. When I said earlier with the Arkham Batman, I'm planning on doing a head swap. I'm hoping that when I finally get a hold of this, I can swap this head onto the Arkham body, and it'll look like a more comic book Batman. Because in all honesty, I have no interest in owning this Batman. I'm not interested in all these alternate reality evil versions of Batman. To me personally, I'm not a big fan of this Dark Knight's Metal, Dark Knight's Death Metal storyline. I'm still waiting to see how it pans out and ends. If it ends well and I like it, then I guess I'll be glad that we got all these figures. But until then, I really kind of wish he would just make DC characters. The characters, the villains go deep into the roster, and give us the DC equivalent of Marvel Legends. So this is just to show you the Dark Knights from this Death Metal, Dark Knight's Metal story arc in DC Comics. These are a number of the evil versions of Batman. We've already seen this one where he's like evil Bat Flash. This is evil Bat Wonder Woman. This is a version of Batman that just basically became the Joker. Bruce Wayne turned into like an evil Bat Joker hybrid. He's got a bunch of demonic Robins that he keeps around with him as henchmen. This is evil Bat Doomsday, who he turned evil and turned himself into a Doomsday monster so he could kill Superman. Evil Batman Green Lantern, evil Batman Cyborg. So much Batman. And while every single one of these figures looks like it was sculpted and painted phenomenally, the detail is insane, they look amazing, I'm just not interested. I want my just DC comic book toy line. I understand that this is the current comic book storyline and they're trying to capitalize on that. And I'll admit, as soon as the storyline finishes, I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna wait till it's all out so I can just read it all. And I might end up loving it. By the way it ends, I might end up loving it, and I might end up wanting to buy all of these. But as of right now, I have zero interest in these. But if anyone does, this is some of the more stuff that's going to be coming out. This guy right here, the Batman Who Laughs, he is already out. Devastator, the Doomsday Batman, is already out. And the rest of them should be coming out very, very shortly. We're also going to be getting some more Arkham video game figures. These are based on the Arkham Knight video game. You can see Batman's in his Arkham Knight armor, which is... I have no interest in buying this one. The same problem with the DC Collectibles Arkham Knight Batman seems to be happening here. They just cannot get the ears. That's some serious quality control. They just always end up bent and warped. But this Deathstroke, if these two come in a 2-pack together, I'm definitely going to have to pick these up because this Deathstroke looks really, really good, and I don't see why he cannot serve as a comic book Deathstroke, so I will probably be getting him at the very least, and if they do come in a 2-pack, I will probably buy it, keep him, and put this guy on eBay. But this is another thing that's going to be coming out to be looking out for. If you were a fan of the Arkham Knight game, watch out for these. And then another couple pictures with more Dark Knight stuff. We've already seen this guy. This is a new variant of the Batman Who Laughs with his like evil angel wings. And this is after his transformation, I'm pretty sure, in the Dark Knight's Death Metal storyline. And then the more Demon Robins. And then over here we've got Superman Who Laughs, which is basically the same as this guy. It's just Superman has now been turned into the Joker, infected with some Joker toxin type stuff or whatever. And then over here we've got the Batman, which is being advertised, I believe, as the Dark Knight's Metal Batman. It's simply just the Rebirth Batman, where he's got the black and gray outfit, but it's got the yellow outline around the bat symbol. I hope this one comes with an alternate head, and we're not just stuck with this like sneering grimace. But if we are, we are. I gotta be honest, I have no intention of buying this one anyway, and no intention of buying that Superman. And the only reason I'll buy these is if I like the story that's coming out. But I cannot say this enough. They are sculpted and painted insanely well. They look fantastic. So if any of this is appealing to you guys, maybe this is the toy line for you. And then anyone who's a fan of Elseworld storylines, alternate reality DC storylines, You're probably familiar with the classic tale Superman Red Sun, which is where Superman, as a baby, his ship, instead of crashing in Kansas, United States, it crashes into the Soviet Union, and he's raised in communist Russia, and he becomes their Superman. It's a pretty good story. They made it into an animated movie, and now from McFarlane Toys, we're going to be getting a figure of Red Sun Superman. There have been other action figures of Red Sun Superman before, but they've been nowhere near this detailed, sculpted well, painted well, and they've definitely had nowhere near this level of articulation. I think this is the same body mold used for the first comic book Superman. I think we're just getting new paint detail and new symbol sculpted on the chest and maybe a new head sculpt, it looks like. But overall, I can tell this is the same body mold as the original Superman. And then we're also going to be getting, and I'm really looking forward to this one, a Flashpoint Batman. This is the version of Batman from the alternate reality where that night in the alley, instead of Martha and Thomas Wayne being shot dead by the mugger, it was little Bruce who got killed. And Thomas Wayne, the dad, Bruce's father, he dedicated himself to fighting crime and becoming Batman. And this is also another kind of Punisher-y Batman. Thomas Wayne definitely was not above carrying guns and killing criminals. So this is badass, and he actually plays a pretty relevant role in one of my favorite DC stories, which is Flashpoint. So I will definitely be picking this guy up. Anybody who's a Flashpoint fan, you're probably going to want to grab this. So that's that. That's my take on the DC Multiverse Toy-Line from McFarlane Toys. It has a lot of promise, and all of the figures that they are making look absolutely gorgeous. At a price point of $20 a figure, you really can't beat it. I just don't really like the figures themselves that they are putting out. They're way too heavy on Batman, specifically way too heavy on the Dark Knight's Metal, Dark Knight's Death Metal storylines. But hey, if that's your thing, that's your thing. You can find these toys at pretty much every single major retailer: Target, Walmart, Walgreens, Kmart, GameStop even. They, like I said, they go for, I believe, $19.99, which is a really good price for their 7-inch scale, so you're getting a good deal there. And I highly encourage anyone, if you're a DC fan or if you're just looking for a good toy line to collect that's easy to find, you're going to find it at every major retailer. This could possibly be for you. Hopefully one day it does get to the point where it's the DC equivalent to Marvel Legends, but we'll see. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give the video a like. Think about subscribing to the channel. Check out the Facebook page of the Chad Nerd. And other than that, I will see you guys next time.